Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Chef Zoe, and today I have another interesting topic for you. And before we go ahead, I really want to find out from you guys, are you really enjoying my basic cooking technique? You are enjoying it, right? Because these are basic culinary cooking techniques that everybody should have if you want to be an amazing home cook, an amazing professional cook. It's just knowledge that is out there, and I'm just helping you, get some of it.
Feel the sunny days caress our skin when we begin to thaw.
Today we're going to be talking on another favorite of mine, one cooking technique that I absolutely adore: frying. Who doesn't like frying? Growing up in our Nigerian homes, I can remember Christmas was a time when the first thing that makes you remember it was Christmas was the smell of the fried chicken or the fried meat. Once you smell that fried chicken, you know that, okay, now groove won't start. So without fried chicken or fried meat, it wasn't literally Christmas, or it isn't really an Owambe without it. I know all of us have been introduced to the term fried, and we just fry as we go because, they're different. We have the knowledge that has been passed onto us from our mothers, and we have the knowledge that is actually out there, but we also have the science behind frying. So if you want to be able to nail anything frying, you need to understand a few science behind it, and also a few tips and tricks on how to make sure that you have a perfectly fried dish, no matter the style of frying, anytime, anywhere. So join me as we get started, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit on the notification bell, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a question, help me grow my channel so that every single time I come on this camera to teach you one cooking tip, I know that I'm being appreciated, and I know that you're learning something as well. That's the only way we can, keep this communication going. So now let's go into what frying is. What is frying? Frying is a method of cooking food in a bath of hot oil or fat, typically between 350 degrees Fahrenheit and 305 degrees Fahrenheit. I said earlier in my last video when I was talking about baking that Fahrenheit and Celsius are two different things. In Nigeria here, we use Celsius, but you find most of the recipes are in Fahrenheit on the internet. So if you're going out there looking for what Fahrenheit is, there's actually a conversion table to Celsius because our ovens and stuff here works in Celsius. So it depends on the type of frying. The food can either be submerged fully into the fat or partially on top of the fat. Either ways, what we're trying to get is the golden brown crust, outer layer, and moist in between. Now, before we continue, if you notice the fried chicken and fried beef that we had growing up, it wasn't moist in between. Sometimes you would chew this chicken, you would chew this beef, chew this beef, chew this beef. You could, if you not drink water, if you buy you. So that is because growing up we just fried stuff, just put them for oil like that, made it fry. We don't understand that there's actually a trick to this whole thing. So today I'm going to be showing you, in the demo I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be showing you how to fry and also have a moist center with a crispy outer cover. So frying occurs when a food is introduced to hot oil, and what happens is that it starts to dehydrate. That means it starts to lose water. So when you put your food in your oil, the water starts to bubble up to the top. It causes some fatty acids to kind of form around the food. That's why you have a brown crust. Prevents water from leaving the food completely and prevents it from becoming fully dehydrated. So that's just what we call the Maillard reaction. I spoke about that in our last video. This is just another example of how cooking and science goes hand in hand. So this same reaction happens when we're baking, and this same reaction happens when we are frying. So to prevent your food from being extremely dry, especially if you're going to be trying to be cooking that meat through in the oil. For example, I know some of us here, when we want to cook our chicken, we first boil it first before we fry them. But actually, if you have like really soft chicken, I'm not talking about those chicken will grab, where if you put for fire, they grill done quick. I'm talking about soft chicken. You can actually cook it like that. That's why sometimes I make my chicken wings without boiling, just seasoning, marinating straight into the oil. Another way for you to make sure that you actually have extremely moist chicken or extremely moist piece of food that you're cooking is to batter it up. So when you batter it up, you put it inside a cushion that kind of helps it even prevent more water for leaving. That's why a chicken that has been coated and fried will be more moist than a chicken that you just drop directly into the oil. There are different types of frying, but there are 4 that I like to bring up today. We have stir frying. We have stir frying is a topic that we're going to take stir frying in another series. I'm going to go more into that and show you different recipes and how you can achieve that. It's pan frying, aka sauteing, which if you have been watching this series, I treated in the first video, so you can go there and see what sauteing is. And then there's deep frying and there's air frying, thanks to the air fryers. So I love the air fryers for my healthy recipes because I don't have to introduce extra fat into it, and somehow we always manage to take out more fat from the food that you are preparing. It's such a healthy way to prepare your protein. But today we're going to be talking about deep frying. Deep frying is a total immersion in oil. So when you are frying that chicken for your jollof rice, what you're doing is deep frying. So when let's say food brands like KFC are trying to make their chicken for you, it's also through deep frying. What equipment do you need for deep frying? I know we cook like our ancestors sometimes. We just put oil on fire. It don't hot, put them like that. Whether the oil don't hot or the oil never hot, we shall put them for fire. Shall put the meat inside. If it turn brown eventually, we carry and come outside. Meat don't fry. You know, it's good sometimes to cook with feeling and, you know, experience. But today this channel is to give you some few technical steps before we go back to our normal recipes. You know, let me just teach you a few of these things so that you become better cook. Why not? What equipment do you need for frying? You need your deep pan. You're either using a frying pan or you're using, like, sometimes I use like a deep pot if I was trying to like fry. I have a Scotch egg recipe on my Instagram. I used a deep pot. I used about 6 cups of oil because I wanted it to fry properly. So a deep fryer, if you're the type that has an electronic deep fryer, that works as well. And what you also need is a thermometer. This is something that most houses don't have. Obviously, I didn't even have it until a couple of years ago. But I find out that using a thermometer, having a thermometer in your kitchen comes up in different recipes, and just make sure every single time that you hit it. So I use it when I'm smoking, which is something we're going to deal with on this series. I also use it when I'm grilling outside. I use it when I'm roasting in the oven. A thermometer is something that I like to have because I find out that when you get the oil just right. How will I explain it? Okay, yeah. If you start up frying and your oil is not hot enough, whatever you put inside there is just going to be sitting down in the oil. And if it was something like that could get soggy, like a breaded nugget, for example, it would have just soaked up the oil before the oil would start getting hot. And the Maillard reaction would be slow to start. And by the time it's eventually fried, what you have is something soggy, just the flavors are out, you just taste of oil. But if you hit the product, if you hit the food at the oil at the right temperature, immediately the oil drops into there. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it just starts cooking immediately. And you can find out that as the crust is forming, depending on the size of what you're frying, obviously if you're going to be frying something, you have to have it in a manageable size so that it can cook thoroughly. So you find out that your chicken, your fish, whatever you're putting in your fire is cooking at the right temperature. So the moment it's starting to brown, the inside is going to be moist, it's not dry too, you know, it's just the perfect temperature. If it's too hot, you find out that it dehydrates really quick and it starts to burn. And even if you manage to fry it, either the middle will be uncooked, or even if it's cooked, it will be so dry. And you know, we don't do dry things in this kitchen. So most of the thermometers you find can actually record in Fahrenheit. So if your recipe is calling for 350, you're good to go. You don't have to start doing the conversion table. It also comes in the thermometer I have. Let me show you the thermometer. Where's my thermometer? This is the thermometer that I use. It comes in centigrade or Fahrenheit. You can pick, right now it's in Fahrenheit. You can pick whatever temperature you want. This thermometer I have, they have different types. You have the infrared one that you just have to point it, that gives you an accurate one. I'm trying to upgrade to the infrared one so I don't have to leave my hand inside the oil for a long time. Kind of gets like, my hand starts to shake. So I check my oil. Once it's at 350 or 375, whatever I'm frying is going into there. So you need something like this that you can use to just scoop out your whatever you're frying, because you can't really put your hand in hot oil except you're an African mother. I saw a video on the internet where this woman was putting her hand in hot oil to pick it out. You know that hand slap you, because that hand go down strong, eh? That hand slap you. So you also need a cooling rack. I know a lot of us don't have cooling racks at home, and if you don't have a cooling rack, just look for something that you can. A cooling rack is better, because if you put everything in a sieve, the heat might just start making it soggy again, because now the heat will start, it won't be as. So if you really want to get that crispy stuff, just work with a cooling rack, or just look for a way to spread your food so that they're not clumped together. Let me give you a few tips for frying at home. One, monitor the temperature. Temperature of oil works in a very funny way. You heat your oil, it's gotten to 350. The moment you add in food, it's going to drop down that oil. It's going to drop down that oil. So that's why it takes some time again before you see it starts to bubble. But it's possible that your burner might be a little bit too hot, and then the oil will start getting hotter than the 350 where it's supposed to be. So always make sure you monitor. So what I like to do is, if I'm frying and I see that the temperature is looking like it's browning too fast, I would reduce the burner, reduce the heat, and just keep on increasing and reducing, just watching, monitoring what I'm doing. So always make sure you monitor the temperature, and try not to crowd your pan. When you crowd your pan, it wouldn't give you that enough space for you to bubble up and down and fry properly. Keep the sizes universal. What does that mean? That means keep equal sizes so that everything can cook on time. You cannot have one looking as horrible as I'm looking, and have one looking like a 2-year-old child. The 2-year-old child will born quick before me. So always make sure that you have them in equal size, so that when you are removing them, you can remove everything at once. Drain thoroughly. Obviously, you're going to be scooping out with some sort of oil, and there will be some oil on the body. So that's why I said I like to have a sieve with a paper towel to drain before I put on my cooling rack, just to drain the oil. So that's what I like to do. And also, this is a simple trick. A lot of us don't do that, except you're frying like battered chicken and you're seasoning. But for like me, if I was frying like chips, I like to season after I have fried, because seasoning while the food is like crusty and nice, and that heat just lets the salt just melt into it, so you get that nice taste immediately. So the outer part is nice, the inside part is nice. So you know, I like to season immediately, either season before or season after. So depending on the style that you like, feel free, you know, it's your food. Fried foods do well when it's hot. If you fry a chicken nugget and it's no longer hot, I'm sorry, no matter how you reheat it, you're not going to get that crunch. You really want to enjoy your effort. So always make sure that if you're frying, you're eating immediately. If not, it's not going to give you the that sound that makes you feel like, okay, yes, I've achieved something. And while you're frying, you have to be careful. Hot oil can burn, it can peel your skin, it can cause fires. So you have to really be careful. You cannot be frying and be jumping up and down. The moment the hot oil comes out, all the movements are restricted to minimals. And one thing I like to do, especially if you have kids at home, even if you're an adult, if you are frying on a burner, always make sure that the handle of your burner, of your pot, is inward. So directly just facing inside here. If you were cooking here and you couldn't turn it inside here, I would either turn it into this place or turn it into this place, depending on if this place is free. I just make sure the hand of the pot or whatever I'm frying with is away from reach, so that movement in the kitchen is not restricted. And also, if you're moving, you cannot hit into the oil and cause either a fire or a burn accident. So these are the few tips I'd like to share with you for cooking. So now I'm just going to go ahead and make our chicken nugget. Yes, I've spoken about chicken nugget enough in this video. I should have hinted you by now that we are making chicken nuggets, and this one is with a twist, and I really do hope you enjoy it. So follow along for the recipe. Wow, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. I hope you enjoyed that recipe. I would be seeing you next week when we handle poaching. I know a lot of us kind of like stay away from it because it looks different. Poached eggs, poached fish, poached anything. We're going to be handling poaching next week, and I really do hope you enjoy it. I'll see you soon. Peace out.